down the hammer and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the Savvy Landlord as
Investor
your
lunch
host.
/ landlord lunch. Welcome to the party. Everybody put your hands together. Put your hands together. Right. Get excited now because it's going to be long and drab and boring. So, how many pages is your lease, Alan?
10.
10 pages. How many pages?
Couple.
2. Anybody have a one-page lease?
I've gotten houses one.
I bought houses with one-page leases. Guess how many mine is?
25.
31.
So we got 25,
31.
31,
30. 15.
15. 40 was my original.
Wow.
Today, I think it's around 20-something pages. Okay? We've actually condensed it, bulletproofed it. That's a lie. There is no bulletproofing a lease, okay? So be clear. I am not an attorney. This is just informational. Does everybody agree with me? Yes, say yes, say yes. Yes. We're recording this so you can't come back if something goes wrong in your world. It's not my fault, okay? First of all, number one thing you should write down, and if you don't do this, and be honest if you do this, because this is accountability, and this is successful for you. Who has a lease checklist? Okay, awesome integrity. You need to get a lease checklist, okay? If you're ever going to grow your business, you've got to have a checklist. I forget all the time. I've done probably hundreds of leases in my lifetime, and I'm like, dang it, I forgot. What's the number one thing I normally forget?
Lead-based paint?
Huh?
Lead-based paint?
Lead-based paint?
That's
No,
$10,000.
that's because I don't like the federal government, so I don't want to get sued. So that's the first one I'd never forget.
I have an eviction checklist.
Here's the thing I always forget on a lease. I forgot to take a copy of their photo, of their ID.
Yeah.
They drive off, and I'm like, oh my God, you gotta have. Why is that?
You can't evict without their social. Well, you can now, but you have to at least have their birthday.
Well, I don't want to argue with Mr. but you need to have your ID because it matches with the possession. Because of fake ID.
Well,
And you don't see their face. Okay, that's one of the main reasons why you need to have a photocopy of their driver's license. It says right here, did that photocopy of the Another thing I always have a problem with, what key code did I put on this house, or what lockbox number? That's another problem. I also have on here, what criminal check have I done? Did I do a criminal check? Have I received their application?
that's a process.
Okay, so you got to have a checklist. Okay, make one up. I don't even know if I have one on the website. This is a small condensed version. I covered this in a podcast. I go over 30 things that you need to have on your checklist. Okay, it's buried in there. All right, so this is page 1 on mine. Checklist. Savvy Landlord. My old lease is on there. The lease that I'm going over today is a new and improved lease, and I'm going to highlight, after I've been sued a few times, a couple things I've added since that time frame. Okay, so here we go. This is something I learned. I don't know. I did this on myself out of pain. I do this. I talk about money on the front end. I talk money on the back end. People get confused. People get insecure about money. We're up front, and now we do this a little bit different since I have staff. But I email people before they even show up how much money they're going to pay. I text them how much. There's no confusion how much your rent is, what the move-in fee is. Does anybody have a problem? Oh, I forgot. I didn't bring the check. Or my money order is the wrong enough. Has that ever happened to somebody? We don't play that game. So I have it real clear because, again, one day I'm going to die and someone's going to come behind me and they're like, what did he do wrong? I remember looking at my leases from 15 years ago. I was like, dang, I did that? So everything is standardized, and we have this one sheet. Now, this is my own thing. We have a move-in monies. Move-in monies. Take a look at it. Move-in monies. On here on the move-in monies, I have their rent. I have their security deposit, application, pet deposit. That's wrong. There should be a pet what? Fee. So I brought my pen up here. We're going to fix that today. There is no such thing as pet deposit. Refrigerator rent, washer rent, dryer rent. That's another thing. We quote the price, X amount, but we also rent the refrigerator, washer, and dryer. But we want to make sure this is one way how we catch embezzlement. Okay? This is one way we catch embezzlement. Number one way we catch embezzlement is that we don't have cash. Number 2 is that we write off every detail And the tenant signs on this. The resident signs off on this. Okay? So far, I was worth $10.
Yep.
I mean, I haven't even. I'm on. I got 28 more pages. So I keep rolling. Do we gonna have enough time?
Hold that page up.
Yeah. Okay. So you need to be taking notes. You should apply this to your life. Okay. Oh, everybody, there should be a note card. Can you hold that up, homie? Like that. If you didn't get one of those, grab one of those. Okay. Now, by the front door if you don't have one. Okay. Now, my residential lease that's on my website right now is older, and it was 4 pages. And see, all right, we're just gonna have to roll with the new version. All right. Number 1 on your clause, you need to identify the address, the tenant's name, and the lease terms. I've gotten stung in this little area where I tried to be a hustler and add an extra month on there. You know, because you kind of like 12 months. That is a problem. Because on the top of the list, you probably have one of these leases, and I would change this. Most landlords have this thing called year-to-year lease, or 12-month lease, or a 6. Get that off the top line. Because it just needs to say residential rental lease agreement. Do not, because if it happened to me in court, oh, I love judges. They're fabulous. It said month to month, but my math was wrong, and I had it 13 months on there, and he went off on me just on that one little thing. So before we even got into the eviction process, or while we're in the courtroom today, he was already pissed the F off at me. And just so if you ever go to court, listen, when I'm telling you right now, you are at a higher standard as an individual, as a landlord. They look at you like you're a doctor or professional. Now, they don't treat you. They treat you like a has-been. And the second thing, if you have 1 house or 1,000 houses, they think you're a multi-millionaire. And you have unlimited amount of money. Okay? So if you have those 2 things in your mind. But here's the thing. You got to have the lease terms exactly correct on there. You need to have their name. You need to have you as a landlord, and you want to identify that. Who you are, not your name. Don't put your name on there. I have real bold, real class, bold letters, real clear. All rent is due on the first day of each month. Okay? And I initial that, and I say you just want to be clear. Your rent is due on or before the first of the month. If it's on the second, that is considered late. There is no grace period. Number 2, clause 2. We identify the premise. What is the premise? Where is the premise? The address. What is in the appliances? We put the appliances in clause 2. Does it come with the refrigerator? If I was a savvy landlord, I would put the refrigerator, the model number, the serial number. I don't know if you've ever had to have anything stolen before. You have record of that item, and they signed on it. For example, this happened to me where I scrolled up on a place. I saw my appliances across the street. For real. On a crib. It would have been real easy for me. The police officer was incredible. He was trying to help me get my appliances back, but there was I had no immediate proof. If I had their refrigerator, ID number, the serial number right there on their lease, it would have been a no-brainer, right? I had evidence. You're creating evidence. That's what this document is.
Well, so if you put that on your lease, your tenant's going to be less likely to say, "Oh, crap, he knows exactly what he's got." Right. They're less likely to do something with it.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to be super savvy, you should also put on there what their air filter size is. I mean, this is a lot of detailed stuff. I have spreadsheets of every property, what's on the property, and you can put the air filter on there. On my checklist, it has it on there. Because when I'm sitting with the lease, I'm signing the lease, and I'm done with the lease, I always go back. Remember, we talk about money on the first, we talk about money at the end, and I'll explain that here in a minute. Then I do my checklist on the front, and I do my checklist on the back. Those are 2 things I do twice. When I flip over my checklist, it says air filter, what size? So, because I'm trying to get that data for my database, for my software, and I can't remember what that is. So I'll, right there on the lease signing, I'll run over to the heat and air system, and I'll take a picture of it, take a picture of the social security number, social number, or whatever you call it, serial number. Thanks for helping. You just looked at me, just made me get that answer right. And I write down the air filter number. Why is that important on the air filter?
Gotta change them. That'd be a trip.
Yeah. Savvy investor right there. Save you a trip. You buy cases of them. Tenants come in, you can give them to them, or you can sell it to them. All right. Clause 4, term of tenancy. How long it is. It says Oklahoma Landlord Resident Act states that the issue goes to month automatically. Did you not know that? That is a law in Oklahoma. If you have a 12-month residential lease, it automatically defaults to what? Month to month. I found out in other parts of the country, it goes week to week. Isn't that interesting? Just I'm looking at property in another market, and leases go week to week, defaulted. Fascinating. Interesting. Now, I'm very clear. It says right here. It says in bold. There's two places I have on here. First of all, I educate them this way. Number one. Well, it has different colors on mine. Blue. Let's read the blue. You got bold, blue, and my favorite color, red. Note, the resident will still be held on the financial terms of the agreement if they choose to terminate the agreement prior to the date. To be compliant with, like that word, so I put that in there. To be compliant with the Oklahoma Landlord Resident Act, you must give a 30-day notice on or before the first of the month. What does that mean? Oh, you ask. If you present a 30-day notice after the first of the month, the notice will go into effect the following month. So let me give you another example, just to hammer it a little bit harder. If you stroll up in here on the 5th or the 10th, say I'm giving my 30-day notice, you're going to move out next month by the 10th, can you do that? Yes or no, ma'am? No. Now you're moving it to the next month. So now we're going to take your notice. If it's June 10th, you're coming in here. That means you're rolling in here on what? July 1st. And July 1st now goes into August. Now here's the thing I learned from my attorney. You should always give somebody a notice around the 20s date. 25th. If you're going to move them out, if you're going to give them a 30-day notice, you should try to do it around the 25th, 20-something. Okay? Try not to give a tenant. It just makes you look good in court if you ever have a problem trying to kick somebody out.
I thought that was the same for us. If it's after the first, it's the next month. If we're giving them a 30-day notice too.
Yeah, it applies to you. All the rules you're at a higher standard. All the rules and regs or whatever called, you could all the rules and everything are on the CD read to you. Just in case some people don't read. You don't have to read. You could just listen all day. It's all on here. Oklahoma tenant law. Huh? Okay. Upon giving your 30-day notice to vacate the president, do agree to allow the property to be shown by us during these times. If you give us a notice and we try to work with you, we also incentivize. If you give us a 30-day notice, I send you I have a whole system in place. As soon as you give me a 30-day notice, the world changes when you give me a 30-day notice. This happens. First of all, day one, we thank them or let them know, or can we help them in any other way? Number 2, we mail them a move-out kit that day. We also send a reminder on the 15th, and we send out another move-out kit. Then on the 3rd day, we send them a $100 incentive bonus. Hey, if you would help us lease this property and show the property for us, we would love to give you $100 in cash if we sign a lease during that process. It's the best $100 I ever spent. Having someone move out and someone move in with no delay is what you should strive for. Okay, we'll slow down. Payment of the rent. We're only on page 4, folks, so we got some time here. We will pay the landlord monthly, blank amount, before each day of the month. Okay, just goes into that, and it shows exactly where they need to pay. Now, here's a new line that we added. If the first day of the month falls on a weekend or a legal holiday, the rent will be accepted on the last business day before the weekend. And I was telling my property manager, you can't put that in there. You can't put that in there. You can put that in there and you can read it to them. But, huh? My fly? Oh. It's not going to fly. It's not going to work. It won't work. It's the law. It's on the business day. Just so you know. So does that make sense? So if Saturday, the first of the month, or even a Saturday, is on a Sunday, their rent is due technically on the Monday, next business day.
So the 2nd, or whatever.
So yeah, whatever it is, just plan on it. That's kind of what the interpretation of the law is.
If it's Saturday or Sunday,
Would be Monday.
on the Monday.
So if it's the 31st is on Friday and the 1st is on Saturday, they have until Monday. You can't. You should not charge them a late fee.
Did you take that out of your lease? Did you?
No, she put that in there. I was like, that's not gonna fly. You can put anything you want to put in the lease.
Not enforceable.
Yeah, it's not enforceable.
Didn't you used to have that though? I thought you
Per diem late fee.
at least.
Well, there's a lot of things. Somebody put in a lease one time,
No per day.
have a birthday party on their birthday. That was in a lease once. If you're not savvy and you email a Word document with the lease in it, they can modify that. Okay. 6, late charges. Now we can get into Oklahoma law if you would like, but there is no law on what a number of late fee is. There's no monetary amount. What do you charge for a late fee?
$50.
50?
10%.
Doesn't Section 8 have a guideline?
No.
What'd you say?
Doesn't Section 8 have a guideline?
No.
No, but
They'll say no.
they'll.
That's their
They
guideline.
crossed through mine.
Yeah, they'll say no. That's what I'm saying.
Is it more than $50?
Yeah.
Well, here, let me tell you what the law
Like $1
says.
a day or something.
Can't do it per diem.
Here, this is my favorite. This is why I love the government. No, I don't. This is my favorite part. I do love the government because we wouldn't have roads, we wouldn't have schools. So the government, as Jim Rohn would say, is the goose that lays the golden eggs. But the law says this. It says you can charge a reasonable amount. What's that? What's in a reasonable amount?
Oklahoma County Court judges think $50 is a reasonable amount.
Okay. Anybody else agree with that?
That's what they said in court.
So I say in court. Okay.
Those things are court.
Now, I don't.
You can
I've
charge
been.
whatever you want.
I'm not gonna say anything. All right, we'll just leave it at that.
What about, didn't somebody tell me that you have a late fee, but then you're not allowed to charge day fees after the late fee?
Yeah, I used to have. Used to be $5 a day. Used to be in my old lease. Again, it says the law says what? A reasonable amount. So we just talked about earlier. We have a higher standard, and we're all multi-zillionaires, right? So what's the first thing against you?
A high late fee.
Yep. And what are they going to say? I've been in many cases where they've just thrown out the
They're
late
going to
fee.
ask how many times that the tenant's paid.
Yeah, this is. I'm just saying you can charge whatever you want to charge. I'm just saying when you're standing in front of the judge, don't ever say, "Well, it says that in the law I was supposed to charge 50." That's where a lot of people get confused. It's secondhand knowledge, and it's not truth. It's the law's clear. Now, there's also been case law in Tulsa where that actually my attorney sued for this, and over they wouldn't. It was some judge said it was a usury law, and. On a commercial deal. It's a lot of debacle. Just be prepared. My lease says if a tenant fails to pay the rent plus late fee in full by the end of the business day on the second day after it is due, the eviction process will begin. Okay?
So
on the second.
On the second. We're very clear that we start the eviction process on the second. The rent is due on the first. Now, a lot of people, if you read your lease today, I bet you have some ghetto lease from somewhere. It says we're going to file the eviction on what day?
5th.
The 5th. Where'd that come from?
I don't know. That's
5-day notice.
Do you have that in yours?
Landlording on
No,
autopilot. That's his deal. 5 days.
Yeah.
But if you
Wow, I wish I was. No, that's nothing. You start the eviction on the 2nd if you want to. You can start the eviction on the 3rd if you want to.
if you are convinced they're not going to pay.
Some people do it at 1 o'clock on the 1st. If they don't
You can
have
do it whenever you want. This is one little loophole for you.
It's crazy.
Okay, I'm just letting you know. The lease, it says the 5th. I would drop that from there, and it says if a resident fails to pay the rent plus late fees in the full before the end of the business day on the second day of each due date, the eviction process will begin if you don't pay. And an additional $25 eviction administration fee will be applied. Late fees must be paid with cashier's check or money order. Personal checks and online payment will not be accepted. Here's the thing you need to put in there. If you have online payment, you need to block them out. Okay, why?
Block them out.
Reverse it.
Well, they can reverse it. Good, savvy investor. Number 2, go ahead.
If they pay a partial,
Okay, that's good. She's real good. Real good landlord right
have to
there.
submit another
Let me
notice.
tell you another one. It takes 3 days to process sometimes in EFT. Okay? But she just made it. What's your name?
Leanne.
Leanne? Good job, girl. We'll give you a prize.
Thank you. I want the landlord law. Can I have that?
Pass that back to her.
Thank you so much, Stephen.
You're welcome. I just gave you another 20 for your 10. So you made 10. Showing up here.
Thank you.
Okay, so the law is real clear. If you accept income from anybody, it starts the process all over. So if they have proof that they paid online, which if you've got a flunky property manager, they're not paying attention. They go online and put $25 on there or $100. It starts the ball all over again.
Even if it's going to be reversed.
Even if it's a reverse, because on their world they say we have it, and that has happened to me so many times. That's why I said that we block it out as soon as they're on eviction status, and we know there's something not right. Boom, we get log in, you're locked out. And on top of that, we have a law here in our building. Is like we won't even talk to you when you're in eviction status unless you have a major repair or repair. Because now in our world, it's a legal matter. It's a legal matter. Because why? This is a great thing. I mean, I need to be an attorney. Where is the attorney at? Because the great thing is, it's called breach of contract. Right? That means the whole thing is dissolved. Right then, right there, when they don't pay, they're in breach of contract. Okay, so we're so amped up on the late fee and on eviction, we even put a little notice in our lease what's going to happen to you. This is what a 5-day notice looks like, shrunk down, so there's no confusion. Okay? I'm a visual person. I like to explain everything to people, and it shows right there. This is an example of a 5-day notice, what it's going to look like on your door. Ma'am, I know you're going to pay your rent on time. I'm not going to worry about it. But just in case some random person shows up on your property, I don't know who it is. Could be Jimmy. If Jimmy shows up on there with his not, so there you go.
In your Savvy book that you've got on landlord leasing and everything, you've got that page that shows here's the cost of what the eviction process is. That in your lease agreement? I used to give it. See, they've changed. My staff has changed the lease. Okay, that's a good point. Because we're going to start putting.
Yeah, I actually have that. I do not have that in here. That's the point I say at the end.
Okay, sorry.
No. But I don't have it in here. But I actually mailed that letter on the 2nd now. Okay. But I'll get to that. Remind me. Okay. And I'll bring that point up. That's a really good point. And I'm going to tell you what that is, what he just asked. It's in my book. It's a technique that I started using 20 years ago, and it's been working ever since. So we'll get into that in a second.
We started it several years ago.
And it works?
Some apartments, and it
works. I send this letter to you, you start spinning, you start jumping, you start calling me. And I'll explain the letter here in a second.
I need that letter.
Yeah, here we go.
I'll pay an extra.
We also notice in here, it says, a notice similar to this will be posted on your door and a certified mail. It will be certified mail to you, and we're charging you $7 for the certified mail. We're just very clear when we go to court. We have all this documentation of the process and why, and we record every lease, and you should record every lease. You should go buy a $50 recorder. I have all my staff, they're required to record every conversation. Okay? We record it and we put it in, we save the MP3, we dump it into on their account, on their ledger. So there's no interpretation. There's a lot of case log where foreign people that don't speak English can speak English beautifully in the lease signing process. Then they got amnesia
when they go to court.
When they go to court, and there's real case log. I've actually written about this in another book that I've been writing. Oh, I mean, I'm telling you, this actually went down where the individual could not speak English and was confused. He thought he was purchasing a property, and he was leasing a property, and it was a big giant debacle. And I can't remember. I was taking notes. I was like blown away. It's an attorney, knows about it here in Oklahoma City, and if you really want to know about it, I'll tell you about it later.
I had that happen with a guy that spoke English.
So, if the resident fails to pay the rent plus the late fee in full by the end of the business day on the 7th, see, we're very clear here, okay? On the 7th. The late fee, all these days, the eviction process will be filed in the court system of Oklahoma County or wherever county you're in. Resident will pay a landlord additional $375 legal fees. This is right here.
Awesome.
Now, would you sign a lease with me? Probably scared, right? I'm telling you, I've had someone step up and walk out. That's exactly what you want to happen.
Oh, yes.
This is a professional game. This is not a toy, right? When the judge they treat you, they'll put you in jail. Okay, so this is a profession. Okay, this is serious business. The court, the government, they assume that there is no naiveness here. They expect you to know the law. Okay? They expect you. So spend $20 and download the audiobook and know the law. You need to know the federal law, Whoever said it was a little funny about the lead-based paint, let me tell you, the landlord that's coming on Saturday, you should hear his story about lead-based paint, which helped me through a lead-based paint, where a baby had lead-based paint in her, with legal documents and everything. Very interesting awakening. People real casual with the lead-based paint little pamphlet. Well, the law says, it's very clear, and the government says you need to know this if you're going to be a landlord. Not only that you need to get them to sign that little piece of paper, but you need to give them a pamphlet. I promise no one in this room is giving them a pamphlet. You can give them a pamphlet by email, but I mean, I can go online. I have them downstairs if you want to see the pamphlet. You can buy these things for 10 cents. They're a full-on book.
I'll print them out.
And no, I don't even print them out. I buy the book by the case. It's like $100 they're like 10 cents a piece. They're this big. It's all legit. It just makes you look professional. When you're sitting down to lease and you got all this paperwork, and then, oh yeah, by the way, you got this book to read about lead-based paint. You did your job and you sign off on it. It makes it serious. It's all everything. Recording it, man. Would you mind if we're going to record this conversation? Because everything I say doesn't really matter. What's in writing matters. Supersedes anything that I say to you today. Would you mind if we record this process? Is that okay with you? Yes. Hi, I'm sitting here with Jerry, something with a curl, and we're talking about this. Okay.
Where do you get those lead-based paints?
You Google it up and you can order them.
PDF, you can print it out.
Yep. Number 7, return check fee. Go into that. What's the cost of the check fee? Who's charging what for a check fee?
$35.
$35. Okay. Security deposit. On signing an agreement, resident will pay the landlord the sum of, and this is very clear, you got to be specific on the deposit of what the amount is. Some people play this game of working the deposit off and confusion. Technically, it's commingling money. I don't want to get into that right now. We don't have enough time. But you'd be very... The deposit is something you don't want to play around with. Okay? Don't play around with the deposit.
Does it legally have to be in a separate account?
Yes.
I'm not an attorney. I don't want to say anything. Don't play around with the deposit. Okay, this is a little line that you should have in your lease, though. If you don't have this, you should get this. On signing this agreement, the resident will pay the blank landlord security deposit amount blank. Resident may not, without landlord's prior written consent, apply this security deposit to the last month's rent or to any other sum under this agreement. Okay, the number one debacle, hey, I'm going to move out and just take my deposit. Has anybody dealt with that?
Yeah.
Who came up with that deal? It's like the same idiot that came up with the 5-day notice. I mean, the 5-day pay on, it's okay to pay by the 5th. Like, who came up with this stuff? Within a 30-day written note. Yeah, this is how you get deposit back. The law states so we have 30 days to give your deposit back. That's another thing that you need to communicate. And they're legally, I'm telling you, you'll get thrown under the bus all day, every day over a deposit. Okay? Now, if you want to protect yourself, maybe we'll do a legal class on deposits.
Yeah,
I could do a whole class on deposit.
Yeah.
For real. I'm serious. Like, do not play around with the deposit. But the law says, people want their deposit tomorrow. Right? I mean, I get it. They're moving to a new place. I want my deposit when they move out. But the law says, so when we quote the law, because this is what the law says. It says, the law says that we have 30 days to give you back the deposit. Now, our goal is to give you that deposit back as soon as possible. Many times we give you the deposit back as short as 7 days. If you're compliant and you do these things. And guess what? They're written right there. Vacate the premises. Get out. Return the keys. Provide a landlord with a forwarding address. And, of course, we walk through the deposit. Landlord will return the deposit in full or give the resident an itemized written statement of the reasons for and the dollar amount of any retained landlord, any issues that we have. Now, let me see if my folks have changed this lease because I didn't see this in here. And I'm going to tell you need to write this down because I need to write this down myself. It's not in here. Nope, I got my own little notes here. Okay. Let me double check before my big mouth. Should be in here. Somebody's gonna get in trouble. Somebody's gonna get their whooping. Yeah, we got a whole bunch of new stuff though, but we don't got whatever. Okay, well, it's in my forms, but it needs to be in here. It's an itemized list of everything that costs to repair or clean something. So I definitely recommend this. Works really good in the courtroom. Mm-hmm. It says a refrigerator clean out is $35. A broken window is an average of $250 to $450. A blind is $45. Okay, it's very clear that these are the costs it's going to cost you if you don't have these things corrected, and I make them sign off on that. I don't know why that's not on here, and I go into that very deeply about, listen, it's the law, we want to give your deposit back. And honestly, our job as a property manager is to get this thing rented. So that's why we offer you a $100 incentive bonus if you help us rent it out. Here's the deal. We know you're going to need your deposit back. We want to give you your deposit back. But all of it. And that's probably the best thing. You know, a lot of ghetto landlords, we're not ghetto. That's why we record everything. But we're the real deal. We're a professional property management company, and this is what we do. Here's the deal. If you leave a freaking gallon of milk in the refrigerator, it's going to cost you $35. I'm being serious. If you don't wipe down these baseboards, it's going to cost you, okay? If these things broken, now I want to give your money back, and I know you need this money. We're going to mail this to you when you give us a 30-day notice. The next day, we're going to mail you a move-out process. It's going to go over all that stuff, and I know for sure in my move-out process, it has that in there. But just so you know.
Steven, you ever run into a situation where they left like everything wrong and it eats up all their deposit?
Every day.
Do you try to collect on that, or you just cut your losses and go on?
Well,
I send them a notice.
are you going to answer it, or you want me to answer it?
Mm-hmm.
Come on. Get off your phone, homie. Learn something.
I'm taking notes.
I itemize everything for the law. I take pictures of everything for the law. I send them a bill for everything. Okay, you might want to get with your CPA on the next step. On that side, that's not for this class. If the person's viable, absolutely. If they work for a place where I can go after them, I go after them. Yes, absolutely.
Pictures.
This is a business. You must have pictures. You must document everything. But if I know that I can chase them down within reason, then yes. If I know they're a deadbeat person and it's just impossible, then I just take the loss and move on. But you can hire I'm not sure, I haven't done this in a while, but I would say it's between $100 and $200 something for hire an attorney to go to small claims court to do that process, because you got to get a judgment. You get the judgment. It's $60 to file. You could do all this yourself, but it's interpretation again. When you have an attorney there, it's a little bit different. But you file, $66 to file. You get a court date. You show up. They usually don't show up. You show the judge these itemized lists. You show them the cost. Don't inflate them. You show them the pictures. You'll get a judgment. Now you have this judgment. Then you hire another attorney or that same attorney to go after them to garnish your wages. Should you do that? Within reason. Your time's worth money. Okay, we go into the security deposit. We go into this thing called the PDR. We call it the premise deposit report. What the PDR is, it goes over everything that this is the holy grail for survival. Okay? This is the only thing that's ever going to save you in court. This is the only thing that's going to save you in everything. It's called the move out sheet. Some people call it. We call it a PDR, premise deposit report. Basically, this is an 8.5 by 11 where we have a carbon list where they go off and they check blinds. All blinds there. Blinds are missing. This is their move. What do you guys call it? Do you have a name for this?
Move in, move out.
Move out sheet. This is the only saving grace that you're going to have with the judge. Okay? If you do not have this document, you will be thrown under the bus. Regardless, it doesn't matter what you have done. And pictures sometimes work, sometimes don't. But if the judge is going to side with the plaintiff or whoever, if you don't have this document, this is like having a deed in my mind. This is like having a quitclaim deed and not filing it and having it in your drawer and your house burns down and somebody else got your crib. Done. Okay? You've got to get this. And if you don't have this, I'm telling you, I'd go back and go get them. Seriously, this is your holy grail. You will get thrown on the bus 10 times over and ran over on your deposit. The judge will go off on you. You have no proof. It's all hearsay. Get that. All right. Any questions on this so far?
Yeah, that.
Should we make this part 2? Should we have 2 of these classes?
Probably.
But no one's here. No one liked this subject.
That's good.
That price list for clean out a fridge, $35. Where do I find that?
I mean, I sell it in a whole form thing, or you could make one up yourself. I used to make one, and I just add it up as I goes. As I goes. That's not a way to say it. As I went on, I just kept adding and adding and adding and adding items, whatever it costs, cleaning, toilet, door, window. You can make it up yourself. Just have a list of costs for it. Assign and subleading utilities. Utilities are paid in yours. Following's paid, will be paid by what we have. What's paid by us, what's paid by them. If we live in a duplex, or if they live in an apartment building, we cover that there. Number 10, assignment and subletting. Resident will not sublet any of the premises or sign the agreement without the prior written consent of the landlord. If you don't have that in there, there's this thing called Airbnb. You ever heard about it? I'd put that in there.
Is this also where you put in you can't get someone else to move in with you?
That's subletting.
Okay. With that. So like if they get a boyfriend and he moves in.
Yeah,
they have
this
to-
happens all the time. They move in, they break up, but then the person that's in there can't carry the weight. That happens a lot. That's why you always have to have an application on everybody that's in there. But this is the case that I actually have a house right now that I'm dealing with where they moved in, they lived in for a couple of years. He got divorced and just left. Well, he was the breadwinner. What do you do now? Right? I mean, it covers this information in here. Assigning the lease. Now, they both are on the lease. Now, technically, that gentleman that just left should have got a release of lease. So he is bound to the lease if he's living there or not. Okay? It's kind of like a cosigner. We go into number 11. It's pretty lengthy here, so we have to get into it. It says, the residence maintains responsibility of the property. Keep and maintain the property in good order. Okay? We go into that. Very clear on what you should do. That's clause 11 continued. Clause 12. Repairs and alterations to the property. Now, this is very clear. We have this real bold, real big, It says, to be compliant with Oklahoma Landlord Resident Act, you must have all maintenance and repair requests in writing. Okay? Well, you have to have them in writing. You cannot call me up, ma'am, and say, hey, come fix this deal. You have to have it in writing. Now, listen, I'll email you right quick, and you want to be customer service, but we would prefer you to text that in right now. So there's writing. It protects you and protects us. I know there's a lot of deadbeat landlords out there that don't do their job. You're living in sewage for 6 months. I understand that. That is not our goal. Our goal is for you to live in a nice home. Okay? But we have to comply with the law because he said, she said stuff. We shut that down real fast. He says he's going to come out and fix that. No, we never heard about it. No. See, it becomes a problem. So we're right up front. You could text us and we'll print out the text message. We'll email them. We have a whole system with that. You need to be I got thrown under a bus on that one, on clause 12. And this is dumb. I let these people moved in, and while I was working on it. And there was a professional tenant, got in free, but she thought I was some joker. So I was like, oh no, we don't play. But anyway, this gal took me all the way to court, and they just, because I didn't have, because she was moved in, and we were putting up blinds for this lady because she wanted to have these super type of blinds. And this is where you should never judge a book by the cover. She drove a BMW, but she was a professional tenant. She was on lockup, and she knew what was up. She went to court. She had pictures that these were the repairs that we were doing while we were there, but we had nothing in writing because we just let her moved in while we were working on the property. I'll never do that again. All right. Now, this clause 13 is actually, you can get this clause for free from Midwest City. I went to a HUD Midwest City thing, but this is called an accelerated clause. Basically, if someone's ever caught with any kind of controlled substance or drugs, it's an automatic. Even has prostitution in here. I have the whole law quote. You can get this from. I got this from Midwest City. I was at a landlord meeting in Midwest City, and basically, I have it on a separate form. But this is what happens: is if you have any kind of legal activity, it's on an automatic eviction. Now, by the law, it says you have to give them a notice, 10-day notice, if they're in violation of the lease. In this case, I can accelerate that and kick them out.
How soon?
Like I call it, like ASAP. I haven't had exercises, but this just shows you, like, if you have some sort of illegal activity, if it's a police report or something, boom, I can file on you right there and get a writ assist right there. If someone's doing drugs on your property right now, does anybody know how to handle it now? What do? You got to give them notice. Okay, you got to give them a 10-day notice because they're in a lease violation. You know, you're not being compliant to the lease. Like, I'm talking about having a dog and all this other stuff. We're about to get to the pets here in a minute. We changed that all up. So, anyway. Animals. Oh, perfect time. Number 14. No animal of any kind, size, shape, form allowed or in the property under any other circumstances unless prior written notice, agreement, and documentation. Just a new word you need to add in there. Applicable fees have been paid and accepted. This means you, big dog.
Includes babysitting.
No babysitting, no looking after, no helping, or a lost animal on the side of the road, dead. Any type of keeping of an animal or animals, plural,
No watching your family
on the premises is a violation of the lease. Line 1. Line 2. Real boat. No animals. That means no animals. Think I'm playing around? I am not playing around. I'm playing around. For those of you who would have an animal, typo. For those of you who have an animal without proper authority or do so without immediate termination of your lease with the prior notice, a fine of $500 per animal of any kind will be due and payable to upon the notification of said lease violation, whether you cure the violation or move it out. No consideration is given on whether the animal is or on the premises for 1 minute, 1 hour, or 1 year. Again, no animal means no animal.
Including fish.
No animal.
So what if they say they all of a sudden needed to have a service done?
We just went through all that. That's another episode. I just went through one. It's a long thing. I got that on lockdown. I actually have it all written. I have that podcast written and wrote down how to play every play. I have it all written down. I went through a long process with that just recently. All right. Clause 15, landlord access to the thing. It's the law. We have to give you 24-hour notice. You can't just roll up on a property and knock on the door. Hey, I'm the landlord. I want to check out the property. You can't do that. And we just tell them in advance, but we have this clause in here. It says, should a request for maintenance be made, residence is granting permission for the landlord or its agents to immediately access the premise, negating the 24-hour stipulation. Actually, my homie wrote that for me. He's in the building downstairs. He used to be my handyman. Then he became property manager, and now he has nothing to do with real estate. But he wrote that line for me. So that basically, because I have never had this opportunity, but I just thought this. If we entered her property, their property, not her, the individual's property, and we didn't give them 24-hour notice, they have a case against us. Okay?
Unless it's for an emergency situation.
There is law that talks about that. There's law that talks about emergency situation.
Right.
We don't have to get into that. But again, it's interpretation. What was I going to say about that? I don't know. Okay.
Grant is not an emergency.
Extended. It says in our lease, if you're going to be vacated the premises more than 7 days, we need you to let us know. Clause 17, possession of the premise. I got burned by Section 8 one time, and I'll never get burned by Section 8 another again. Just so you know, Section 8 requires that the utilities need to be turned on in their name, and that's the only way that's deemed possession. For example, I had a guy moved in, had his stuff all in the house, saw him in there. A couple of weeks later, stuff's all there, guy disappears. this is a time process, so it's about a month in. Now we're like, Section 8 pays us, everything's all great. Dude, we can't get a hold of this guy, but his stuff's in the house. Like, we open the door, we're knocking on the door, we thought something's wrong, maybe he's died or something. We look inside, we don't go into the property, stuff's all in there. Well, we started filing an eviction on the guy, he didn't pay, get the eviction, gets him out. Next thing you know, there's a withdrawal from my account, from Section 8. Wow. Okay. All my notices. Yeah, he never took possession. Excuse me? I was on the property myself. I saw boxes.
I gave him the key.
That's not possession. Make sure you clarify what possession is. They have to have utilities in their name. Not their aunt's name, not their uncle's name, and their name. Make sure you're very clear on the possession situation. Okay?
How do you check that?
Call OG&E up or have them show you the bill. Have them turned on. And then check. They can't tell you over the phone, but be on it.
You can also get burned if they give you a notice that they're moving. Say I've had a couple skip out in the middle of their lease, and if they give you notice that they're moving, and okay, so yeah, you're thinking 30 days, right? Well, Section 8 goes back and looks at it and says, well, they gave you a notice on the 1st of December, but the power hasn't been on since the 20th of November. So you just lost December and January rent.
That's a great point.
And then take it back.
I'm sorry that you went through that. But I've seen that happen. I've seen people steal gas.
Happens all the time.
Which is very dangerous.
How do you know?
You don't know.
It blows up.
Oh, the gas. No. What happened was like this is what he's talking about. Someone they didn't pay their gas bill. They don't do this anymore. The utility companies have cracked down on this. But for example, you're not paying your bill. You're delinquent. Someone else comes and pays it. Not your bill, but puts it in their name. So they're deadbeat on their last name. Now they have gas. Well, now they don't have possession, and this is what he's talking about. It was somewhere else. They didn't have utilities on. I've seen people not have water on for 6 months at a time. They didn't take a bath? I don't know. Clause 18, payment of court costs and attorney fees. Actually, we're gonna change this clause, so I don't even want to read it to you. Tell you what not to do. I learned this other day, and I have not put this in here yet.
Stephen, have you found the situation or a solution to it? Your tenant has not paid the gas bill. The gas has been turned off.
Yes, dear.
How do you get the gas company to tell you that the gas is turned off?
You just call there and ask them, is the gas turned on in this address? And they'll tell you yes or no. They legally can say that. They can't say who's.
To tell me.
Then I would evict the tenant. It's dangerous not to have the gas on. Automatic. Heat, winter. I had to give them you're in violation. It says on load notice.
Pipes will freeze.
Yeah, pipes will freeze. Yeah, that's a violation. That's an automatic eviction.
Back, last week I called them. They told me.
Yeah.
Well, they should be able to tell you it's on or off, but they don't tell you the people it's under.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They usually just say, "Hey, I'm proper." I would identify myself. I'm a property manager. I just need to know if these utilities are on or off.
And how long has it been off? They can tell you how long it's been off, or
they can give you some information,
won't give you
or to be real sweet. This is how I roll.
Well, they tell
This is how I do it. Hey,
Yeah.
how you doing? Hey, I need to. I say, what's the average cost of the bill? I need to know. I'm working on my budget. I need to know. Would you mind telling me what the average cost is for the gas here? This is a common question everyone calls on.
Yeah.
She's going to say it's $50 a month. Great. Is the gas on now, or I need to do an inspection? Is the gas on? Yes or no? No, it's not on.
Yeah.
When's the last time was
How
it
long
turned
has
on?
it been
Because there's a law in Oklahoma. If it's been turned off more than 12 months, what happens?
You gotta get an inspection.
Get an inspection test. Now you're going to get burned. So you need to get this on lockdown right now. Because if it goes to the 13th month, your gas line will be flagged. Now you have to hire a licensed plumber. You got to pay $250 on a minimum. I've heard people pay up to $400. Wow. You got to pull, Yeah. This has happened to me several times. I was on a property one time. I saw someone stealing gas. And how do you steal gas? You take a rubber hose.
Bicycle
hose. I mean, it's terrible what people can do. Keith, I don't know why you're smiling back there, homie. I'm like, That scared me. That's like a bomb going off.
You mean like steal it from one property to
No, there's a gas. So you got the gas line coming out, and then you got your meter. That's how they get paid. Then it goes into the house.
They bypass the meter.
So you just take the meter off. Hey, I've seen this on. You could do this on electricity too. You pull the thing out and put jumpers or foil, which is I saw that one time. Yeah.
not so much
They just
anymore.
someone just shoved it was a garden hose. Shoved a hose in there, shoved a hose in there. I was like, how in the world they got heat in here? You know, I don't remember how we found it, but we found it just like you, man. It was paranoia from there. That thing will burn down. All right. I would not have this in your lease, but you need to have this in your lease. This is where your $10 is going to go right here. Okay. And I can't take credit for this. I'm not going to say this person's name because I want to make sure they like to leave anonymously. But in my lease, it says this, and I just got burned on this. It says, in any action or legal proceeding to enforce any part of this legal agreement, the prevailing party, that's the winning party, will recover reasonable attorney fees and court costs. That's stupid and dumb. Burn that from your lease. If it's in your lease, you need to burn that. Okay, that's interpretation of stupidness. The new lease, which I'm surprised it's not in here, it says up to a certain fee of legal fees, and this is the line that you need to put in there. We need to use online arbitration, mediation, before we go to the court. You like that?
Online arbitration?
Use online mediation before we have to go to court. For example, this just happens. Pipe burst in the house. Happens. All their stuff was tore up. They said we owe them 8 G's. We say we owe you. Don't you have insurance? No, we didn't have insurance. Said, well, we haven't gotten to that part yet. But it says in here you should have insurance. Well, it's your fault, landlord. No, it's not our fault. We don't have acts of God. I mean, I love Jesus, but you know, he likes the weather. They just see tornadoes, all this cool stuff that happens. You know, I was in Houston. Everybody I talked to, they brought up the word tornado.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is wrong with these people, these Texans? It was like the most. Did anybody ask you that when we were down there? At least 4 people asked me about tornadoes. Are you scared? Do you have a tornado in your driveway?
They couldn't believe how much air came out of you.
I was like, what the? That is the most bizarre question I've ever heard in my life.
Go to Peru.
Anyway, so I actually just had a settlement on a case because of that one clause that's not written properly. Basically, but you can, and I'm going to ask this guy if I could talk about this later, but he has a clause in his lease. It's very powerful. It says if we have a legal dispute, we must use online mediation first before we go into legal action, and any legal action must up to $1,000. It only can go up to $1,000. Beautiful.
How do you do online mediation?
Google it up. Figure it out. You pay the money. It's awesome. There's a service online that you can pay a fee, which we can get into this later, and then they'll hear your side, your documentation, and it's not an attorney. Okay, we're running out of time. And they do their side, and then they make the decision right then.
Now, couldn't that be, construed? Hey, any so you want to evict me? From the
I don't know. This is on a legal matter.
Like,
eviction is not a legal matter because you didn't pay. Listen, we can debate all day.
Yeah.
Eviction is not a legal matter. It's a breach of contract.
Which is a legal matter.
You didn't pay your rent. Yeah, I mean, we'll probably reword it differently on our eviction. I'm talking about outside of the normal technicality of a that's not covered in here. Probably is what it says. I don't know. I'm just making this up.
Yeah.
But this is what someone translated to me.
That mediation.
That's a good call.
That mediation could cost anywhere from $1,000 to
$750.
$3,000.
It's $750 online.
And
So they have to
$70.
pay for it.
Okay.
So they have to pay $750 to get into that point. It's just that, I'll pay the $750 if you pay the $750.
So if they win, do you have to pay their?
Yeah, whatever. Well, up to a certain amount of money, it's $1,000.
$2,000.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good question. I'm not the guy to ask about that.
If you went the normal legal route, though, it would be 3 times that.
Oh yeah.
Easy.
Well, depends on what it is. Okay. In here, I have all my addendums in clause 19. It talks about maintenance addendum. Talks about lead-based paint addendum. You got to have the lead-based paint. Here's one that you need to have in there that I have. Lockout, your key, you lose your key. Tendency, okay, so I'm real fast because we only have a minute here. It says the keys returned by noon when you move out. It's a $75 relocking fee. We charge, there's a certain price. If we need to come change, if you had a fight with your boyfriend and you change your locks, we charge between these times $30. After 4:30, it's $50. And if you have no key, it's $7.50 a key. Renter's insurance, that's another addendum. We're real big on renter's insurance. Okay, another new disclaimer that I have in here now is property as is disclaimer. You're accepting the property as is. Let's just be clear. So I have this as real big in my deal. Okay, because we don't offer any, because you moved in and there's a tear in the carpet. Okay, because you moved in that giant 8-pound refrigerator, 80,000 pound refrigerator, you're going to try to get a concession or discount off your rent. Okay, we don't offer any discounts or anything off of your rent if it has central heat and air or doesn't have central heat and air. There's no concession. You're taking the property as is. Smoke detector addendum, definitely need to have that. If you don't have that, house burns down, what's the first thing the fire marshal does? He goes look for the smoke detector. Second thing the guy does is the smoke detector functional. Okay, you need to have this addendum in your lease. If he goes and looks at the smoke detector and there's no battery in there, whose fault is that? The landlord. Unless you have an addendum. In that addendum, it states, okay, that we can't control you in what you do with your smoke detector. If you do need a battery, it's our responsibility to provide you a battery. It says in the addendum, you need to be very clear on this one. And, you can get a smoke detector for free at the firehouse, or we would love to provide one for you. But it kind of puts the little responsibility on them. Anybody have any mold? Please note, Addendum 7, our goal is to maintain a quality living place with the mold. We talk about mold, what is mold, how to handle mold, how to take care of mold. Addendum number 8, we talk about satellite dishes, burn them all down. They're dumb. No offense. Who has satellite? Joan?
I got a for it. I'll charge them $75.
I'm just teasing that. I see you taking notes, girl. I can see you're excited over there. I was like, man, she's been like a student the whole time. I love it when I see that. I love smart landlords taking notes. This is a serious game. The flunky landlords hurt us. The smart ones are in this room. You feel me? Where we're getting thrown under the bus all the time is because some dumb landlord made a pass at some gal and exchanged rent. I mean, I see that every month now. Exchange rent for services rendered. I mean, that's happened to me once before. Someone came on to me. Can we work out this rent? I'm like, what you? Oh, no, we can't. I never called that girl back. She never moved in. I mean, I'm serious. It happens.
You can put those dishes on a pole, and that's what I tell them.
Dishes on a pole. Yes, smart. Anytime you touch the roof, guys, do not ever let someone put a satellite dish on the roof. It will cause the roof to leak. And then do you think the individual that's up there with the little drill cares about you?
It's not little.
He hates you because he's up there in 100-degree weather trying to make 20. You know how much those guys get paid to put that up there? Like $30. And their life's in danger, and Cox Cable's getting paid, or satellite somebody. Yes.
Yeah, so I'm a home inspector. Don't let anybody mount anything to
Don't
your
ever-
chimney.
Okay, this is one of my favorite notices. These are all the items.
I like
Don't
that one.
flush these items.
That's not Casper the Ghost, by the way.
I need a picture of that.
This is no. This is
That's what it looks like from here.
This is
I'm
why
like,
I love. You're married, man. You shouldn't even know what a condom is. All right, so this is my favorite page right here. I made this page. It says a plumbing call is $125. You understand that, sir? How much is a plumbing call? $125. I make sure they say what's $125. Okay. A plumbing, should the serviceman determine that the cause of the repair is due to the flushing or putting down the drain, one of these above items, and it says you read it, we will charge you. And our plumbers are trained, or people that we hire to go out there, they must take a photo. And there's been a time where we pulled out 20 of the things, Caspers. And it was a big debacle because they were married, and we almost got in the middle of something. Smoke-free addendum, powerful smoke-free addendum. This is another one I created. I think you can buy this one on my website if you're real cheap and get this for $5. We're gonna raise all the prices after today. This one says this is exactly how to change an air filter. Go watch this video. How to change an air filter. It is your responsibility to change your air filter. Let's be clear. But if we roll out there, if our maintenance person comes out there, and when I started this thing it was $100. Now it's at $160. Heat and air has gone up. If we come over there and your filter is dirty at all, we take a photo, we put it in a bag, we send you the bill.
Do you have a set time frame for them to use them on?
They just every 30 days is what we tell them. We can't control them. Now here's something that's new, real purple. We used to get notices from the city. I don't know if a couple years ago the city was cracking down on violations, and we got stung on one. Now we have in our lease notice of violation. If we receive a violation, we automatically repair it that day and charge you for it. We used to just send them the notice, hey, you forgot to cut your grass, we know you're busy. No. This is very clear here. Because we found out that when we get the notice, they post that notice on their door at their property. Yeah. So they're clear, and the city would do an affidavit for us if we asked them. Probably not. But I guarantee I can get something that says the city puts out a notice on their door and mails us.
They take a picture of it.
And they take a picture of it. Well, Alan would know he's had a lot of fines in his lifetime. And he would know that very vividly. Now we're very clear that if we receive a notice, it's an automatic charge on your lease, on your ledger. Okay, do you understand that, ma'am? Sign right here. All the yellow on all my leases is where you sign or initial.
Is there a base price on that?
Whatever it costs whatever the person that we hire that goes over there, we don't have a price on there. This is where you need to send your legal documents. You need to have that in a lease. A lot of people don't know that. Valid, it says in here, this is oral representation. Anything I say means nothing. It has to be in writing. You got to get the death addendum. The death addendum covers if you died in the property, I can't touch your stuff. This is what happens to your stuff, where it goes.
Next to king,
Well, they fill in this. We have special locks. Here's your welcome. Welcome to the crib letter. Hey, welcome to the party. This is where you can get your keys made. This is how you pay your rent in person. We do not accept cash, bank draft. There's a $2 fee for that. And then we go into the regulation. Do not park on the grass. We do not spray for pests. Is anybody here for that? We don't spray for pests. We're very clear on that. Because we don't know if you can cook or clean or do any of those fun stuff. That's a good question. I used to. She shrunk it down to that little section, but I'd have one big page that covered that. Okay. We always give initial maintenance request order. We teach them right in the front end. Hey, everything has to be in writing. If you come to find something, this also looks good in a courtroom. Hey, this is what they've received this. This is what they need to give us back. It's in writing. We also rent our appliances to you. This is our appliance agreement. This is what it costs for delivery and pickup of the appliance. Co-signer agreement. Okay, if you need a co-signer, you need to get a co-signer. Okay, then I go through the checklist. Then I can't remember. Okay, so what Michael said earlier, he said, you have this little piece of paper that you give him about the money. Well, how do I prevent Section 8? Yeah, you should prevent Section 8. how do I prevent people not being evicted? I send them this letter that I made. It says if you are evicted, these are the things that are going to happen to you. You're going to be written up in the newspaper. It's public record. All these things that I said that's going to happen if you have an eviction, and then I write out all the costs it costs you. It costs you like $1,200 to process and do eviction. We can solve all these problems on the front end if you would just work with your property manager and to solidify these late circumstances that you have. We're willing to work with you. But if you don't, this is what's going to happen to you. All right, put your hands together. Have a good day.
Investor Weekend is not far off, with over 10 information sessions to increase your portfolio. Log on to www.investorweekend.com. Whether you are a seasoned investor or never purchased a property before, you don't want to miss the Investor Weekend. Join us for a powerful, knowledge-packed weekend with over 10 informational sessions that are bound to enlarge your real estate investments. You will hear from the best national and local real estate investors that will share practical and relevant experiences with you, the investor. There will be several networking sessions to connect with other like-minded people for potential funding, partnerships, and yes, hot deals. Go to www.investorweekend.com. Did you know we meet once a month for the Landlord Lunch Meeting? The third Wednesday of every month. Go to landlordlunch.com.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at savvyradioshow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook and always be buying assets.